Have you ever wondered why, righteous when you decide to stand on the right way with God, everything around you seems to fall apart? Life begins to tremble, relationships break, God's silence weighs. And the doubt hits hard, did I go wrong? But what if I told you that these confusing moments are actually spiritual signs that you are exactly where it should be? Yes, the right way is not always surrounded by flowers and applause. It is often marked by painful losses and separations, intense trials, and even the feeling of being invisible. But these negative signs are not the end, the fundamental steps of a profound process of spiritual growth. It is the sky saying, I am shaping you to something bigger. In this video, you will find out how to identify these 7 powerful signals. Each is a divine confirmation that you are in inner transformation, being cut by God, even if everything seems out of place. The good news: you are not just on this walk. Let's go through this together, with Christian faith and widely open spiritual eyes. Then prepares, because what seems like chaos can only be the beginning of a new time with God. And in the end, you will realize that His silence also speaks. And a lot. Loss of important people. When someone you love moves away without explanation, the heart hurts, right? It seems that everything goes down, especially when you don't understand the reason. But look, not every loss is defeat. Sometimes it is divine protection. God, in your wisdom, removes people from your life who cannot go with you to the next phase. You can even cry, question, and think, what did I do wrong? But this is one of those trials that hide a gift. There are people who are blessing for a while, but who becomes weight later. Spiritual growth requires space. And often this space only arises when some connections break. If the person left without explanation, maybe God has spared you something you can't see yet. Have you ever thought about this angle? It has separations that, although painful, are divine confirmations that you are on the right track with God. He sees the future. And if He moves away, it is because His heart is keeping you. The Christian faith is not about keeping everything and everyone around us. It is about trusting even when everything seems to lose meaning. Remember Abraham? He had to make it even more precious to follow God's plans. And often our losses are bridges. Bridges for a destination that only God sees now. One habit that can help is write letters you will never send. Put everything you feel for the person who left there. Then pray. Releasing these feelings helps in inner healing. And do you know what happens? You begin to realize that, even with a broken heart, the Holy Spirit is rebuilding you inside. It is common to feel alone in this process. But see, on the other hand, who stayed was on purpose. And who left, it was by divine permission. God's silence at this time may seem cruel, but He is saying, trust, I know what I do. And usually, after this cleaning, comes a fresh time. So if anyone left your life, don't run after whom God has gone away. This is strong, but it is real. Keep obeying, even without understanding everything now. Because, up front, you will look back and thank you for trusting. And look. Maybe this loss is the key to your greatest inner transformation. Oh, and already take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. Has a lot of edifying content coming, and you will not want to lose. When it all starts to tremble. Have you noticed how suddenly everything that seemed firm begins to swing? That stable job is threatened, old friendships fall apart, and the floor seems to disappear under their feet. It may seem punishment, but in fact, this is one of the strongest spiritual signs that God is in action. It begins to remove what is available to take you to something eternal. Sometimes chaos is just the invitation to a new construction. It's strange, I know. It gives that fear, a sense of loss of control. But it is in this scenario that the Christian faith reveals itself with more power. God does not allow everything to collapse for nothing. He is repositioning you. Did you ask to grow? Well, spiritual growth almost always comes with emotional earthquakes. Do you know that phase where everything that gave you security starts to get out of place? God uses this kind of situation to get you out of the comfort zone. Sometimes we are so attached to what is good that you do not see what is better. And God, like a loving father, drops the sandcastles to take you to the right place the right way with God. It doesn't mean everything will be easy, far from it. But pay attention when it all starts to get out of control. That's where it takes control. There are times that God takes us to the limit just to show that the limit of Him is infinite. The secret is not to despair. It is trusting even when logic has running. It is at this point that many people give up. Because it hurts. Because it seems that God has disappeared. But look, God's silence is never absence. It is training. It moves you away from the noise of the obvious, the superficial, so that you hear more clearly what really matters. It's not punishment, it's cut. Want to know a practical exercise? Write on a sheet what is crumbling in your life now. Then pray by giving each area to God, asking for discernment to understand what He wants to teach you with it. Sometimes a forced change is the only way to break with what prevented us from growing up. It gets firm, has divine confirmation in the middle of chaos. So if everything is shaking, holds firm. God is just beginning to organize the puzzle pieces. And when everything seems out of place, remember He never loses control. This shake is only the first step of a powerful inner transformation. And look, there's a lot more coming around. Go through the fire without burning. There are times when we look like we're inside a furnace, right? Fights on all sides, pressures at work, family crises, internal conflicts. And the feeling is, I can't handle it. But if you are still standing, even after so much, this is already one of the most powerful spiritual signs. God is with you in the midst of trial, and fire will not consume you. Remember Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? They were thrown into the fire for not denying faith. And the most amazing no smell of smoke was in them. Sometimes you are being proven because you are on the right track with God. And the proof did not come to destroy you, but to reveal who walks with you and prepare you for more. These moments are not coincidence. They are spiritual training. It's like bodybuilding. It hurts, tires, but strengthens. And just as gold is purified in fire, God is refining His Christian faith. What you are living today can be difficult, but you are shaping a much firmer and mature version of you. A practical tip: do not face the fire alone. Have a prayer diary. Write down what God has spoken to your heart. Read books that strengthen faith, such as The Power of Hope or The Experience of the Table of Devin Franklin. Feed your soul as the fire burns outside. It is normal to feel tired, but know if you are resisting, it is because there is something big being generated inside. God does not waste pain. Every trial has purpose. And when you look back and see how much you have won, you realize that it has a force that does not come from you, it comes from above. Fire also exposes who is really by your side. Not everyone will resist with you. And that's good. Because in this heat, masks melt and true intentions appear. What is left is what is pure. God is making a sieve in your life, and it includes relationships, habits, and even thoughts. So if the fight is intense, don't think it's a sign of abandonment. Quite the contrary. This may be the divine confirmation that you are being trained for something you can't see yet. Follows firm. Because going through fire without burning is one of the largest brands of those who are being sustained by God. Sentiment of being invisible. There is a phase of life that it seems that we became an extra of the story itself. You dedicate yourself, do your best, help everyone, but no one notices. Neither a thank you nor a compliment. It makes you want to scream, "Does anyone see me?" This sense of invisibility, as strange as it seems, is one of the most common spiritual signs of those on the right track with God. It is as if God hid for you for a while. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. Before David was king, he was only the pastor forgotten in the field. Joseph, before governor Egypt, spent years in anonymity. God does this when you are developing something big in you. Spiritual growth begins in the secret. It can be frustrating, I know. Seeing other people being recognized while you follow firm but ignored. Only this is where the lesson lives. God is teaching you how to serve without applause, to obey even without audience. Because when the exaltation comes, you will be ready inside and outside. Want a practical advice? Use this time to invest in you. Read Proverbs in depth, study biblical characters like Anna, Moses, or Elijah, who spent years hidden. Strengthen the base, because when God decides to put you in evidence, the preparation has to be complete. Many people give up at this stage because it confuses invisibility with insignificance. But God does not forget you. God's silence is not indifference, it is strategy. He knows the right time to get you out of the shadows and put you in the center of purpose. Until then, continue to plant. The fruit comes in the right time. And another thing, invisibility is also protection. Sometimes you are not being ignored, you are being armored. God removes wrong looks, expectations of others, and unnecessary pressures to keep you focused. Whoever sees you now may not understand, but who needs to see you in the right time will see. Trust. So if you feel erased lately, know that there is something powerful happening behind the scenes. The sky is moving, even when the earth looks standing. This time will pass. And when you pass, you will understand that invisibility was just the backdrop for a big start. Listen to God more clearly, but lose connections. When you start to look for more from God, one curious thing happens: you start to hear Him more clearly, but it also starts to lose connections. Friends disappear, some relatives move away, even environments previously pleasant begin to look heavy. It looks contradictory, right? But it is one of the clearest spiritual signs of alignment with heaven. This is because the light bothers you where there are shadows. When you approach the presence of God, the frequencies change. And those who are not willing to walk at the same pace naturally end up being behind. It is not evil. It is separation by purpose. The right way with God sometimes requires lighter walking. It's like adjusting an antenna. The more you tune into the sky, the more the noise of the earth dissipates. And along with this noise, there are people, habits, and even thoughts that no longer serve. It is a type of divine cleaning. Dude, yes. But necessary. Because there are phases of life that only fit you and God. Want a practice that helps a lot at this time? Create a secret corner at home. It can be a simple place, but only yours, for prayer and reading of the Word. Books like Dallas Willard's Listening to God or The Awakening of the Soul by John Ortberg can help you refine this listening. And then, even in the external silence, you will hear God's voice clearly. You will also realize that the deeper the relationship with God, the less need you feel of human validation. This is not arrogance, it is spiritual maturity. God begins to fill spaces that were previously occupied by expectations of others. And this brings peace that exceeds understanding. But make no mistake, loneliness can hit. At this time, the Christian faith needs to become more than theory. It is trusting that God knows what He is doing, even if you still don't understand why so many leaves. Obedience to it has a cost, and sometimes this cost is to walk just for a while. So if connections are breaking, don't run back desperately. Ask God, is this person still part of my purpose? If the answer is no, follow in peace. Because hearing God more clearly can hurt at first, but soon becomes the most precious sound of his journey. And he has much more to reveal you. Faith is tested after obedience. It is curious how, after giving a sincere yes to God, it seems that it all starts to go wrong. You obey yourself, you consecrate, say, "Here I am," and then come the contrary winds. It even gives a knot in the head, but I did everything right. That's where one of the greatest secrets of the walk lives. The test does not come before yes, it comes later. This is not punishment. It is divine confirmation. God tests what he wants to use. It was so with Abraham when he received the order to sacrifice Isaac. Obeyed without understanding. And in the last second came the provision. Your Christian faith needs to be refined as gold. And that only happens in the heat of the battle. It may seem unfair, but think a soldier is only prepared on the field of war. And you are in spiritual training. Each obstacle, every door that closes after its obedience, is building resistance and discernment. It is as if God said, "You're ready to be strong, so I will strengthen." Do you want to give up? Normal. But when this happens, remember why you said yes. Make a list of the reasons they made you obey. Read Bible promises aloud, such as Isaiah 41:10 or Romans 8:28. This will anchor you. Because in trials, memory is one of the greatest weapons of faith. Obedience does not guarantee facilities, but guarantees purpose. And that's where a lot of people get lost. He wants to follow Jesus, but he doesn't want a cross. Want miracle, but runs away from the desert. But the desert is where God speaks louder. This is where his silence does not mean absence, but an expectation of maturity from you. If everything was difficult after you decided to do the right, congratulations. It is a sign that the sky took you seriously. And when the sky confirms, hell reacts. But not the theme. The war that comes after obedience is a spiritual thermometer. It's because you got out of the shallow. And deep water require another level of delivery. So when your faith is tested, don't think you lost your way. On the contrary, this is one of the most legitimate spiritual signs that you are on the right track with God. Battle exists only because there is something precious to be protected within you. Can stand firm. Because after the test, the promotion always comes. Change and inner growth. You realize that something is changing when you begin to want more from God than distractions. That series that previously held your attention is no longer so bright. Surface conversations lose their grace. You look for sense, presence, direction. And that, my friend, is a clear sign of inner transformation. Spiritual growth does not scream. He whispers. It comes in the discomfort with old habits, the desire to pray more, in the desire to forgive without being requested. It is the Holy Spirit shaping you inside before positioning you on the outside. It's not magic, it's process. And all God's process involves some kind of renunciation. There are days when growing it hurts. It hurts to leave people you love. It hurts to say no to temptation. It hurts to confront your own meat. But this discomfort is proof that something is born in you. It's like a sprout breaking the hard earth. At first it is small, fragile, but over time, it becomes a firm tree. A practical step. Reevaluate your routine. Separate at least 20 minutes a day for an intentional moment with God. Read Life with Purposes by Rick Warren. Write down what God speaks in your heart and observe the fruits gradually emerging. Internal change needs external consistency to flourish. Sometimes no one will notice what is changing in you. But continue, because what is invisible to the eyes, God is seeing. He celebrates every little decision you make to look more like Christ. Heaven moves inside before manifesting out. And over time, the fruits will speak for you. This phase can isolate you a little. After all, the closer you approach the light, the less you can live in the shadow. But it is in this isolation that God plants the deepest seeds. And when you least expect it, you will be reaping fruits of peace, wisdom, maturity, results of silent obedience. So if something inside you is changing, celebrate. This restlessness is no confusion, it is alignment. This hunger for more of God is the Spirit calling you to live on another level. True transformation begins when the inside screams louder than the outside. And look, the best is yet to come. After all this, how are you? Perhaps still trying to understand why your life seems so off the axis, even though trying to walk the right way with God. But now you know heaven is not always revealed with applause. Sometimes the greatest spiritual signs are disguised as silence, losses, and trials. The question that remains is, what are you going to do with all that you heard today? Will you keep looking at the struggles as punishment or as divine confirmation? Will you resist changes or allow them to turn you from the inside out? Remember, Christian faith is walk, and walk requires step after step. Start small. Choose one of the signs you have identified in your life and take it to prayer today. Write, reflect, talk to God. You don't have to have all the answers, just willingness to continue. Because anyone who walks with God can even go through fire but get out of it stronger and closer to purpose. And if this content spoke to you, if any part of this text has moved something inside, already leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and activates the bell. There is a lot more coming to help you on this journey with God, especially on days when everything seems wrong.